Ryan, the 25-year-old mother was working here at this Exxon gas station when police say she was abducted last Friday night.
Our other big story tonight, new documents that we obtained are revealing what led police to charge Jeffrey Willis with Jessica Heeringa's kidnapping and murder.
April 26, 2013. Norton Shores, Michigan. A quiet suburban town where neighbors knew each other and crime was rare. The streets were calm, the night uneventful, until one shocking disappearance shattered the sense of security forever. That night, 25-year-old Jessica Heeringa, a young mother working the late shift at an Exxon gas station, vanished without a trace. No surveillance cameras captured what happened. No one heard her scream, and no body was ever found. What followed was a case filled with chilling details, dead ends, shocking discoveries, and a suspect who lived a double life of horrifying secrets. This is the story of Jessica Heeringa, the mother, the victim, and the name that still haunts Michigan. Jessica Heeringa, a mother, a friend, a fighter. Jessica Heeringa wasn't just another face in the crowd. At 25, she was a devoted mother to a 3-year-old son. Friends described her as kind-hearted, artistic, and fiercely protective of her little boy. She dreamed of a better future, one where she could give her son stability and love despite life's challenges. Jessica worked hard, taking shifts at the local Exxon station to support her small family. Those who knew her recall that she was always smiling, even when exhausted. She had a quiet determination about her, the kind that spoke of inner strength. Yet, like so many struggling young mothers, Jessica faced constant financial stress. The gas station job wasn't glamorous. It was long hours, late nights, and often working alone. But for Jessica, it was a way to provide, and she endured it without complaint. What no one knew, however, was that this very job would place her in the path of a predator. The vanishing. April 26, 2013. It was a typical Friday evening. Jessica clocked in for her shift at the Exxon station around 10 p.m. She chatted briefly with a few regular customers. The store was quiet, business slow. At approximately 11:10 p.m., a customer noticed something strange. The store was empty. The lights were still on. Jessica's purse sat behind the counter, and the register was untouched. But Jessica was gone. By 11:15 p.m., another customer pulled up and saw no attendant. Suspicious, he called 911. When police arrived, they immediately noticed signs that something wasn't right. Jessica's car was parked at the station. Her belongings were inside. She hadn't simply walked off. The scene was chilling in its silence. No struggle had been witnessed, no loud noises reported. It was as though Jessica had simply vanished into thin air. But investigators would soon find evidence that painted a much darker picture. The crime scene, traces of a struggle. Inside the gas station, investigators found no signs of robbery. The money was still there. Jessica's personal items were untouched. But near the station's entrance, on the concrete, they discovered a small pool of blood. DNA later confirmed to be Jessica's. A trail of blood droplets led toward the parking lot. There were also scattered items, suggesting she had been taken by force. Witnesses came forward, describing a suspicious silver minivan spotted in the area that night. One customer remembered seeing a man talking with Jessica earlier that evening. He had sandy hair, stood about 6 feet tall, and seemed oddly persistent. Though the clues were few, they pointed to an abduction. a carefully planned crime that happened in a matter of minutes. And as hours turned into days, hope of finding Jessica alive began to fade. 5. The community and the hunt for answers. The disappearance shook Norton Shores to its core. Residents who once felt safe now locked their doors at night. Volunteers organized searches across wooded areas, fields, and back roads. Flyers with Jessica's face covered telephone poles and storefronts. Her family appeared on television, pleading for her safe return. Jessica's mother fought back tears as she begged for anyone with information to come forward. Her fiancé, overwhelmed by grief, spoke of Jessica's love for her son and the emptiness her absence had created. The case gained statewide and national attention. Yet despite the media coverage, leads were scarce. Every tip seemed to end in frustration. For months, investigators chased shadows, trying to piece together the fragments of that April night. But beneath the surface of this quiet town, a far darker truth was lurking. Investigators under pressure. As the investigation dragged on, pressure mounted on the Norton Shores Police Department. Critics accused them of not moving fast enough, of failing to secure evidence, and of lacking resources. One major setback: the gas station had no security cameras. In 2013, surveillance systems were not mandatory for all businesses, and this oversight left investigators blind. The one thing that could have provided answers, the abduction caught on tape, simply didn't exist. Instead, police relied on witness testimony and forensic evidence. Detectives examined hundreds of silver minivans across Michigan. They questioned local sex offenders. They conducted interviews with gas station regulars. But it would take years before a break in the case finally came. The suspect emerges: Jeffrey Willis. In 2016, 3 years after Jessica's disappearance, police received a shocking lead. A teenage girl managed to escape an attempted abduction and identified her attacker's vehicle: a silver Chrysler minivan. That minivan belonged to 46-year-old Jeffrey Willis, a married man, a father, and someone who appeared to be a normal suburban resident. But when investigators dug deeper, they uncovered a horrifying double life. Willis had a history of troubling behavior. Co-workers described him as strange, secretive, and aggressive toward women. His computer revealed thousands of disturbing files: violent pornography, kidnapping fantasies, and detailed notes about potential victims. Among those files, references that directly tied him to Jessica Heeringa. A dark web of crimes. As investigators unraveled Willis's world, they discovered Jessica's case wasn't the only one linked to him. He was also connected to the 2014 murder of Rebecca Bletch, a local jogger found shot to death on a rural road. In Willis's van, police found handcuffs, chains, ropes, syringes filled with sedatives, and a hidden compartment: a mobile abduction kit. The chilling evidence painted the picture of a predator who hunted women in his own community. Jessica Heeringa, it seemed, was one of his intended victims, and tragically, she never escaped. Though Jessica's body was never recovered, the mountain of circumstantial evidence pointed directly to Willis as her abductor and killer. The trial. Justice for Jessica. In 2018, Jeffrey Willis went on trial for the kidnapping and murder of Jessica Heeringa. Prosecutors presented their case: the blood evidence at the gas station, the eyewitness accounts of the silver van, and Willis's disturbing collection of files. Jessica's family sat in the courtroom, forced to hear the horrific details of what likely happened to her. Friends wept as prosecutors described how Jessica had fought for her life in those final moments. The defense argued there was no body, no direct proof of murder. But the jury saw through it. After weeks of testimony, Willis was found guilty of first-degree murder and sentenced to life in prison without parole. For Jessica's family, it was a bittersweet victory. Justice had been served, but their daughter, sister, and mother was never coming home. Aftermath: lessons from a life cut short. Jessica Heeringa's disappearance left a permanent scar on Norton Shores. It changed how gas stations operated, with many requiring 2 employees per night shift and installing mandatory security cameras. Her story became a cautionary tale about the hidden dangers lurking even in quiet communities. It showed the importance of vigilance, awareness, and the need for stronger protections for those working alone at night. Most of all, it was a reminder of a young woman's life stolen too soon. A devoted mother who never got to see her son grow up. A friend who never got to laugh with her circle again. And a daughter whose absence will always be felt. Jessica's name lives on, not just as a victim, but as a symbol of why justice matters and why we must never forget. Is one of the most haunting cases in modern true crime history. It reveals the darkness that can hide behind ordinary faces and the resilience of families determined to fight for justice. Her story reminds us that evil often lurks where we least expect it, and that the price of ignoring danger can be devastating. Jessica Heeringa's life was cut short, but her memory endures. If you enjoyed this case, give us a follow for more true crime stories.